preparatory stage. I wish you interest studying science for this year. Here we will start in studying Unit 4. Unit 4 is talking about reproduction and the continuity of our life. The first lesson is talking about the cell division and to know what are the types of cells in our bodies, how does these cells divide, what are the aim of this division, also to know what is the result for this division. Let's start our episode today about cell division. We will start with cell division. What is the cell? What does the cell mean? The cell is the building unit of any living organism. What are the types of cells in multicellular living organisms? There are two types of cells. The first type is somatic cells. Somatic cells are all body cells except the reproductive one, as the liver cell, hair cell, pancreatic cells, skin cells, and the cells of human body except the reproductive one. Also, the animal cells except the reproductive one. In plant, the somatic cells are the cells of root, the cells of stem, the cells of the leaves in the plant tissue. What does the purpose of this division? Which mean, why does these cells divide? These cells divide for the growth of our bodies. Also, for compensation of the damaged cells. Again, the purpose of this division or the aim for this division is for the growth of our body, also for the compensation of the damaged cells. Does these cells divide by which name? These cells divide by mitotic division. What is the type of the other cell? The other cell is known as the reproductive cells. The reproductive cells found in all living organisms' body, as the testis, which produce sperm, and the ovary, which produce the ovum in human and animals. But in plants, it's known as the anther, which produce the pollen grain, and the ovary, which produce the ovum in the flowering plant. What does the aim of this division? The aim of this division is to form the male and the female gametes, also transferring of genetic traits from parents to their offspring. The male gamete is known as the sperm, the female gamete is known as the ovum in the body of animals and human. Does these cells divide by the same division as the somatic cells? No, these cells divide by meiosis, cell division. The nucleus is the part that is responsible for the cell division. Why does the nucleus is the main part in the cell division? Because it consists of the genetic material of the living organism, which contains chromosomes that have the main role in the cell division. The nucleus is the only part which contains the chromosomes, which has the main role in the cell division. What does chromosome mean? The chromosomes has a general structure, which is two connected threads. Each one is called chromatid. The two chromatids are connected together at a point called centromere. It means that the two chromatids intersect in a point which is called centromere. Chemically, the chromosome consists of nucleic acid, DNA, and protein. What does DNA means? DNA carries the genetic traits of all the living organisms. The number of chromosomes is fixed for same members of same species, but it is different from one species to another. For example, the number of chromosomes in human equal 46 chromosomes. It can be said by another way, humans contain 23 pairs of chromosomes, but the number of chromosomes in rabbits equal 44 chromosomes. In mosquito equal 6 chromosomes. In onion plant contain 16 chromosomes. What are the difference between somatic cells and the reproductive one? The somatic cells, as skin, stomach, blood, contain 46 chromosomes, while the gametes contain 23 chromosomes only, as ova or sperm, which is known as the reproductive cells. So, we know that the somatic cells contain two sets of chromosomes, one inherited from the father and the other inherited from the mother. So, somatic cells called diploid number has 2n, while gametes has haploid number, which is n. The cell contains the nucleus. The nucleus contains chromosomes. Each chromosome carries the genes. We will start to discuss the mitotic division. The mitotic division is a kind of cell division occurs in somatic cells only. We know that the somatic cells is all body cells except the reproductive one, and the neural cells also, and leads to the growth of the living organism and compensation of the damaged cells. Each somatic cell, before its division, will pass a certain phase which is called interphase. Interphase, the cell prepares itself for the division through many important biological processes. Also, the amount of genetic material duplicates. It means that the chromatin, which is duplicated inside the nucleus, is called chromatin reticulum. Then the cell will pass 4 main stages, which is called phases. Begin with prophase, then metaphase, then anaphase, finally the telophase. Again, after the interphase of the cell begins 4 steps of division, which are prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. We will discuss each stage in details. The first stage is called prophase. Prophase, firstly, the chromatin reticulum intensifies and condenses to appear long doubled string chromosome. The chromosome is formed due to the intensification of the chromatin reticulum to form the chromosomes. Then the centrosome. The centrosome which is a part inside the cell outside the nucleus, migrate to the two cell poles to form the spindle fibers. And the spindle fiber extended to connect to the centromere of the chromosome. The nuclear membrane and the nucleolus disappear. So the chromosomes appear to float on the cytoplasm of the cell and connected with the spindle fiber to each pole of the cell. The source of the spindle fiber in the animal cell is the centrosome, which migrate to the cell pole. But in the plant cells, there is no centrosome, so the spindle fibers arises and formed from the intensifying of the cytoplasm at each cell poles. In this part, there is a very important question. Write the origin of the spindle fiber in both animal cell and the plant cell. In animal cell, the origin of the spindle fiber is from the centrosome, which is present outside the nucleus and migrate during the prophase to the pole of the cell to form the spindle fiber. But in plant cell, there is no centrosome. So the spindle fiber arises from the intensification of the cytoplasm at the cell poles. We will move to the second phase, which is metaphase. The metaphase stage is called anaphase. By the beginning of this phase, the centromere of each chromosome splits into two halves, so the chromatids separates from each other. Also, the spindle fibers begin to shrink to form two identical groups of chromatids are formed. Each group of chromatids migrate toward one of the cell poles. Then the cell will move to the last stage of this division. This stage is known as telophase. Telophase is the last stage in the mitotic division, which a complete set of chromosomes that have the same number of mother cell chromosomes are formed on both of the cell. And nuclear threads are formed, and the nuclear network is formed around the chromatin material and a new cytoplasmic membrane leading to the formation of two new separate cells. Each cell has the same number of chromosomes as the parent cell 2n. In this stage, the cell has its own nucleus, and each cell is divided into two cells. Two identical cells have the same number of chromosomes as the parent cell. What are the results of this division? The result of this division is the presence of two identical cells to the mother or the parent cell have the same number of chromosomes. If for any reason the number of the parent cell didn't have the same number of the offspring cells, so these resulted cells will have different properties and the damage or disease to this organism. So the result of the mitotic division, the cell must have the same number of chromosomes as in the parent cell. Some important question on this part. Give reason for. Number 1, shrinking of the spindle fibers during the anaphase of mitotic division. Do you know why does the spindle fibers shrink in the anaphase of the mitotic division? Yes, to split the chromosomes into two halves to form two identical groups of chromosomes in each pole of the cell. Another question. The main organ of the cell division is the cell nucleus, because the nucleus contains the genetic material of the living organism and contain number of chromosomes that play the important and the main role in cell division. Question number 3. Changes occur in the telophase of mitotic division are called adverse changes. It is called that the telophase is the adverse changes of the prophase, because it has inverse the changes occur in the prophase as appearance of nucleolus and the nuclear membrane, also the disappearance of the spindle fibers. Let us show this video to understand what is going with the somatic cell in its division. This is the cell, which is the somatic cell, and has its nucleus and the chromatin reticulum found in the interface. The chromatin reticulum condensed and duplicated for preparing the cell for its division. So, the first stage is the prophase. The chromatin reticulum intensifies to form the chromosomes. This is the shape of the chromosome. The centromere appears in the middle of the two chromatids. The nucleolus disappears, also the nuclear membrane disappears, and the cytoplasm contains all the chromosomes of the cell. The centrosome appears to be migrated for the cell pole to produce the spindle fibers. The spindle fiber extended, then the metaphase appears. Each chromosome is connected to one of the spindle fibers at the cell equator or the cell center. The centromere is connected with the spindle fiber of each chromosome. Then the anaphase will begin. Each spindle fiber will shrink to split the chromosome into two identical chromatids. Each group of chromatids migrate to one of the cell pool, as shown in this picture. Then the telophase will begin. At the beginning of the telophase, the chromatids will forming chromatin reticulum, forming two identical nucleus, and the cell begin to divide. The cell begins to divide into two identical cells with two identical nucleus to form two daughter cells. This is the shape or the final shape of the cell division. For growth of the body and compensation of the damaged cells in plants. Here we will show some science technology together. What about the liver transplantation? What does liver transplantation occur? Some cells in the human body are not divided at all such as nerve cells and red blood cells. So, the nerve cells and the red blood cells doesn't divide at any time. But some cells are not divided in normal conditions, but they retain the ability to divide under certain circumstances, such as the liver cells. For example, if the liver gets injured or a part of it is cut, the remaining cells undergo some divisions to compensate the missing part. So, if the liver cells are damaged, or part of them are damaged, the other cells, the other normal cells, will divide mitotically to compensate the damaged parts. This division are called mitotic division, as the liver cell is one of the examples of the somatic cells in the body of animal or human. Some important questions as give reason for the mitotic division is important for children. Yes, the mitotic division is very necessary for the children's body, as it is used for the growth of the body of these children and also for compensation of any damaged cells. What is the role of the centrosome in the animal cell? We said before that the centrosome is the origin of the spindle fiber in the animal cell. So, the centrosome in animal cell is used for producing the spindle fibers which play an important role in cell division. But in the plant cell, the spindle fiber arises from the intensification of the cytoplasm at the cell poles. Another type of questions which is compare between the origin of the spindle fibers in animal and plant cells. The spindle fibers in animal cells originated from the centrosomes from the two poles, but the spindle fibers in the plant cells originated from the intensification of the cytoplasm at both poles. If the number of chromosomes in human pancreatic cell is 23 pairs, what is the number of chromosomes in skin cells? Number 2, fertilized ovum. Number C, pancreatic cells. The number of chromosomes in the skin cells, the skin cell will have 23 pairs as it is somatic cells, or it contains 46 chromosomes. The fertilized ovum also have 23 pairs. The fertilized ovum is known as the zygote, or 46 chromosomes. The pancreatic cells also have 23 pairs of chromosomes, as all the previous cells are examples of the somatic cells. At the end of this session, we have studied all the types of cells in our bodies. Also, what is the type of division does these cells divide? You have to work hard to get high remarks. See you later and goodbye.